DFW FCA's Faith in Sports. I'm Chris Schneider. Welcome to the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes weekly radio show, Faith in Sports, brought to you by the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic at the Trophy Club Country Club. Tom Grieve, Pudge Rodriguez, and Mark McLemore scheduled to be a part of the fun. Go to dfwfca.org for all the details. We have a very busy show for you today. We will hear from American soccer legend Kyle Rote Jr. in just a few minutes. We will also hear from three-time American gold medal winning Olympic swimmer Josh Davis.
And I thought, God created me, so He knows how I best operate, so surely I can trust Him with every area of my life. God created me, He knows how I best operate, so maybe I can trust Him with every area of my life, and He can make something beautiful in my life, because what I was doing wasn't working. And you know where I got that thought? Because every Wednesday night, I would go to FCA, because there was this really pretty girl there. I had a class on Wednesday night, so I had to come in late to FCA, and I would kind of sit in the back and stare at her. But through those meetings, they were sharing the gospel.
More from American Olympic gold medalist Josh Davis in just a bit. Also joining us on the show today, quite possibly the best pitcher in the world. L.A. Dodger All-Star pitcher Clayton Kershaw will bring us this week's DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Classic moment.
If you tell them that you're a follower of Christ, you're a Christian, things like that, it can resonate with people a little bit more just because of the platform you do have. So, for me, it's, talking about it's one thing, but living it is the most important. My faith on the field is reflected, just in competitive nature, I think, more than anything. Off the field is, you can kind of relax and be, just the same old guy. But I think you kind of have to flip a switch when you're on the field. You don't have to have that all the time.
More from Dodger pitcher Clayton Kershaw a little bit later on this half hour. Also on the show today, DFW FCA multi-area director Rick Bowles will get us updated on some of the great events coming up for FCA in the near future.
On October the 22nd, this is brand new. We haven't done this in 6 years. We're having an SMU game day. It's SMU versus Houston. It'll be a great game. It involves the student athlete, the parent that wants to come out, coaches. They can buy a game ticket. They get food. They get a T-shirt. It's a great time. And then we have a speaker that either before or after the game will just share their testimony.
More from Rick Bowles, the leader of the DFW FCA, in just a bit. DFW FCA would be honored to have you be a part of our year-long celebration. You can find some one-of-a-kind 50th anniversary apparel for men and women and youth, great gifts, accessories, clothing. Go to dfwfca.org to check out the official store for FCA gear. Now, our first special guest on the show today is a legend in American soccer circles. Kyle Rote Jr. graduated from Highland Park High in Dallas. A broken leg ended a promising football career, so he started to play soccer. He would become one of the biggest names in the sport and got elected to the National Soccer Hall of Fame and the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Kyle Rote Jr. is also one of the most sought-after speakers in the country and a very successful businessman. But more important than all of that is Rote's relationship with Jesus Christ. Kyle, thank you for joining us here on Faith in Sports. So how did you come to know Jesus?
Well, we went to church every Sunday, but I have to admit to you that when I was 12, 13, 14, I went only out of obedience to my parents. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any personal passion, personal desire. I basically thought it was kind of the old life insurance policy. You cross the threshold of the back of the church and you kind of check your name off and God won't get you that week. So I didn't really understand that you could know Jesus Christ in a personal way. I always thought Jesus Christ was someone who had lived 2,000 years ago and all the God claims were fine, but I didn't have any idea that there was the opportunity for a personal relationship with Him. But after my mother and father's divorce, my mother and the four of us, we all moved back to Texas, and I saw the changed life, the new creation that Scripture talks about occur in my mother as she was working several jobs to keep things afloat and to keep us going. And all of a sudden I came home one day, and even though it was the same person, she was still my mom, she was a totally different person within a day. And I did not understand it at the time, but over the next several weeks began to understand what she had gone through. She expressed to me, her oldest son, what God had been doing in her own life, and all the bitterness was gone and towards my father, and the anger and frustration, and God had taken her out of the prison that she had been in through her emotions and just the circumstances that she had gone through. And that really caused me to reconsider all the things I'd been thinking about, and really through a ministry like FCA or Young Life in our high school, I reconsidered the claims of Christ and made a commitment to Christ at a camp up in Colorado. But within 2 weeks, the real confirmation came as I came back to Texas, and as you know, high school football in Texas is a pretty big deal. But in my opening game as quarterback, brand new Christian, I threw 7 passes and completed 7 passes. But 3 of those were completed to the other team, and I had a couple of fumbles against trying to pitch the ball out to these big backs of ours. And we lost a game we were supposed to win by several touchdowns, 7-0. And afterwards in the locker room, coaches didn't want to talk to me, teammates didn't want to talk to me, and yet this gentleman came into the locker room, having been a high-profile athlete himself, came up and he just hugged me as like the arms of God, and said something like the following. He said, I know how disappointed you are, and I'm so sorry for the way in which the game turned out, but you need to know that God's love for you has not changed at all. And I experienced an understanding of the unconditional love of God, the God who promises to never leave us nor forsake us. And that was one of those great disappointments in life where God met me at my point of need, and I understood that His love for me was an unchanging love, and that His going to the cross for me, so that I, as an imperfect person, I, as a sinful person, could lay that burden on Jesus Christ. And when God ultimately asked me at my death, why should I allow you into my kingdom, that I will have a ready answer, and I'll just simply point to the cross and point to Jesus Christ. And so from that point in Texas, I understood that what made me important had nothing to do with what I ever did in a football field or on a sporting event. That what made me important was what Jesus Christ did on the cross, and no one could ever take that away from me.
The legendary Kyle Rote Jr. What a great testimony. Thank you, Kyle. We will be joined by U.S. Olympic swimmer, 3-time gold medalist Josh Davis momentarily. A bit later on, Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw will bring us this week's 50th anniversary classic moment. And as always, we would love to connect with you. You can find us on Facebook at DFW FCA. Find us on Twitter at FCA DFW, and our website is dfwfca.org. This is the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes weekly radio show, Faith in Sports, brought to you by the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic at the Trophy Club Country Club.
Did you ever imagine you'd be invited to a dinner with Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, Dan Reeves, and Bob Brunig? With God, anything is possible, right? The DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes invites you to join them for their 50th anniversary celebration dinner at the Irving Convention Center. Early bird tickets are on sale now, and tickets go fast, so go to dfwfca.org to make sure you've got a seat. It'll be a night of fantastic cowboy stories, trips to the Super Bowl, playing for Tom Landry, serving Christ, and the joy of touching lives with the FCA. Knock something big off your bucket list by having dinner with Staubach, Lilly, Reeves, and Brunig. Go to dfwfca.org for all the details.
Situated on 330 acres of beautiful natural landscape with facilities to accommodate groups up to 1,000, Lakeview Camp and Retreat Center is the ideal place to schedule your next event. Whatever your group's goals are, Lakeview aims to meet your needs, providing year-round service facilities for retreats, conferences, camps, corporate meetings, outdoor education outings, school events, and family gatherings. Our friendly staff is committed to making your stay a great experience. Come to Lakeview Camp and Retreat Center and enjoy state-of-the-art facilities, activities that engage and rejuvenate, comfortable lodging, and great food in a setting that inspires the awe of the greatness of God. To learn more about this scenic location for your next event, visit us online today.
For more information, visit lakeviewcamp.net. At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Welcome back to DFW FCA's Faith in Sports, brought to you by the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic. Three-time U.S. Olympic gold medal swimmer Josh Davis joins us in just a moment. Dodger pitching great Clayton Kershaw will bring us this week's DFW FCA Classic moment a little bit later on as well. Do you get tired of hearing all of the bad news? Get some good news. Subscribe to FCA Magazine to read interviews with some of the greatest coaches and athletes in the world, people like Olympic champion Allison Phoenix and St. Louis Blues captain David Backus. Check out FCA Magazine at fca.org. The Summer Olympic Games in Rio just coming to an end. We have our own U.S. Olympic champion with us on the show today. Josh Davis won 3 golds for the U.S. in Atlanta in 1996. He won 5 medals overall and set a world record in the process. Josh gave his testimony at an FCA banquet, including when he went to the University of Texas.
I entered college at 17 years old. And I was going to go to bed whenever I want. I was going to eat whatever I want. I was going to do whatever I want. I was going to be free. But you know what happened? I got to college, and I was like a chicken with my head cut off. I was going to swim real fast, and I was going to make good grades. And on a campus of 50,000 people, that means there's 25,000 girls, and I wanted to meet all of them. And I was just going crazy. Here I was, a disciplined young person, almost straight A's. But when I got to college, I found myself not having much freedom at all. I fell into the 3 Ds of the freshman year. I was drinking too much, I was making bad decisions, and I had dysfunctional relationships. I was so clueless. I really didn't have much freedom at all. I became enslaved to bad decisions and drinking and doing whatever anybody else was doing, just so I could fit in because I lacked character and substance. I needed something in my life because God allows us, God allows us to go through circumstances to teach us. And I swam pretty good. I made pretty good grades, and thankfully I was swimming pretty good. Swimming was my God, basically. When I was swimming good, I felt pretty good. But at the end of my freshman year, we were training hard, and then we were partying hard, and then we're studying hard for finals. And by the time school got out, May 15th, I was so sick from treating my body so hard that I went home and laid in bed, sick as a dog. And I realized that I needed true freedom. Can I give you the definition of true freedom? See, true freedom is the ability to make the right decision whenever you want, regardless of what anybody else is doing around you. That's real freedom. I needed real wisdom, real power, and real freedom to make good decisions. I didn't have the power to do it. And even if I did know, I don't think I had the power to do it anyway. So I realized I needed something more, and God allowed me to go through a bottom-of-the-barrel experience where I kind of had to look up. And I was laying in bed, sick as a dog for a couple of weeks, and God used that time to really whisper into my heart. And it's not because I'm smarter or holier. I really believe it's God gave me the strength and courage to respond to His truth. And this is the thought that came into my mind. I thought, God created me, so He knows how I best operate, so surely I can trust Him with every area of my life. God created me. He knows how I best operate. So maybe I can trust Him with every area of my life, and He can make something beautiful in my life because what I was doing wasn't working. And you know where I got that thought? Because every Wednesday night, I would go to FCA because there was this really pretty girl there. I had a class on Wednesday night, so I had to come in late to FCA, and I would kind of sit in the back and stare at her. But through those meetings, they were sharing the gospel. They were sharing the power and the reality of the Bible. And God had used those moments in FCA as little seeds of truth that finally came to fruition at that season of my life, at the end of my freshman year. And I thought, Jesus is not a liar. He's not a lunatic. He's not a legend. He's exactly who he says he is. He is Lord of the universe. And I need to make him Lord of my life today.
U.S. Olympic swimmer Josh Davis, owner of 3 gold and 2 silver medals, and a very inspiring testimony. Thank you, Josh. Coming up next, we will hear from the director of the DFW FCA on what's been going on in this amazing ministry and what's coming up in the near future. We will also get this week's 50th anniversary classic moment from LA Dodger great Clayton Kershaw. How would you like to move it with your friends and family? Join us at the Chick-fil-A Connect Race Series. Proceeds from the race will benefit the mission of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. This will be September 10th, 8 a.m. at the Keller Town Center. Go to dfwfca.org for information and registration. This is the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes weekly radio show, Faith in Sports, brought to you by the JSGC, the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic.
In 1966, Coach Tom Landry had the inspiration to start the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Dallas. This year, Dallas-Fort Worth FCA is celebrating God's amazing impact on coaches and athletes during our 50th anniversary. Over 16,000 students and athletes are involved with FCA in North Texas. Nearly 500 coaches and teachers volunteer their time to influence student athletes. Visit dfwfca.org for more information, including how you can pick up some one-of-a-kind 50th anniversary products like caps, shirts, coffee mugs, and more.
You are invited to the JSGC, the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic, with special guests Pudge Rodriguez, Tom Grieve, and Mark McLemore. Can you really play golf, Sonny?
I like playing golf. I am, I would say, humbly, not too bad. I shoot in the upper 70s, and I don't have to shoot in the 70s to have fun. I can shoot 85 and 88 and have a good time. That's what I try to do. I have a good time. Keep it in the middle, Chris, and I can get to the green. I'll let somebody else putt.
Go to dfwfca.org for registration and details. Chris Schneider, welcome back to DFW FCA's Faith in Sports, brought to you by the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic. LA Dodger pitcher and Dallas native Clayton Kershaw has the 50th anniversary classic moment in just a few minutes. If the Lord is leading you to be a part of the DFW FCA team, we would love to have you help us spread the news of Christ. Doesn't matter if you're a parent, business leader, church leader, school administrator, a coach, teacher, anyone really who might be interested in making a difference in your community. FCA offers a whole lot of opportunities to serve. Just go to dfwfca.org for all the details. We are joined now by the director of the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Rick Bowles. So, Rick, we're into the dog days of summer now. August is here, and the DFW FCA has been doing some amazing things.
Yes, we've had some great camps. We've had a coaches camp down in La Torreta Resort, beautiful part of South Texas, and had about 26 couples from our area. These are coaches and their spouses and their families. Overall, in the state of Texas, we had over 425 people attend this 4-day camp. Jim Sundberg and his wife Janet, actually, were the marriage enrichment speakers, and that was a great time had by all. We had our sports leadership camp at DBU and had a lot of young people who made commitments to serve Christ on a personal basis. And it's been a good half of our 50th anniversary, and looking forward to some new things coming up the second half.
So you've got half in the books and half to go. So what do you have on the dockets? What's coming up?
We are excited about our Jim Sundberg Golf Tournament. It's at Trophy Club Country Club in Trophy Club, Texas. Beautiful golf location. Jim has invited 3 Texas legends that he has played ball with. Tom Grieve, who is currently in the broadcast team. Mark McLemore, who's on the broadcast team, and 2 great Texas Rangers. And then most people know of Pudge Rodriguez, the catcher, who doesn't go to a lot of events. For him to come and be a part of the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic is a testament to Jim. Jim invited all three of these gentlemen to come out. So we do a luncheon before we go out and play 18 holes, and we'll do a Q&A. So Jim will ask some great baseball questions. I guarantee you'll learn things about baseball you didn't know. Great stories. Jim's a great storyteller anyway, and Tom Grieve is especially. So even if you just be a part of the golf tournament because you want to be a part of that, that's worth it. It is a golf tournament that is a lot of fun, a lot of fellowship. Just encourage you to check out our website and see if you can be a part of it. October the 3rd, it will be a lot of fun, and it supports our ministry. It allows us to do the camps, the various different things that we talk about, that you talk about every week on our radio show here. It's just the perfect opportunity for people in the community to come and be a part of that. And then November 20th is our 50th anniversary celebration. It's normally called our Sharing the Victory Coaches Appreciation Dinner, but this year we're just calling it our 50th anniversary celebration. But we will still bring out coaches and their wives as our guests, so we celebrate what they do for this ministry. We give out awards, and for the first time, we're giving out the Alicia Landry Coach's Wife of the Year. That's going to be ongoing, and so we will do that for the first time at this event. Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, Coach Dan Reeves, and Bob Bruning, guys that were a part of Tom Landry's legacy, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but you've heard that Coach started FCA here in Dallas-Fort Worth 50 years ago. So the conversations about his impact on their lives as a coach, I'm sure we'll talk about how he spent so many hours volunteering for FCA. He and Grant Taft were the main fundraisers for not only Dallas and Fort Worth, but nationwide years ago. We think it'll fill up fast. It's at the Irving Convention Center. You'll get to meet some great coaches. Like I said, we honor a lot of coaches. You get to rub shoulders with these guys, and so why not plan to come out and be a part of that?
Doesn't get much better than that, that's for sure. And I noticed that you guys have been doing a lot of training lately, too. You know, volunteers, people getting involved with the huddles and other areas. You guys have had a lot of things going on in that realm.
Yes, this past week we gathered about 125 coaches and their spouses together at our home office in Plano for a huddle training and a night of inspiration. Chad Hennings, formerly with the Dallas Cowboys, spoke. Randy Allen's wife, Carolyn. Randy is the coach for Highland Park, most winningest coach in that city, in that football team. She has a passion for ministering and encouraging coaches' wives, and she spoke to the coaches' wives that were attendants. We also went over just the things, resources, the things that help our volunteer coaches do their jobs better. You have to understand, a coach might work 50, 60 hours a week as a coach. He or she then takes time out to volunteer with FCA. What that usually means is before or after school, they'll find the time to help lead and supervise what we call a huddle. It's like a Bible club. Most public schools, at least here in Dallas-Fort Worth and Texas, allow a club to exist on their campus if it's before or after school, and if a school employee is involved as a sponsor. So then we'll take a coach, they'll volunteer, and they'll train up student leaders to actually lead this huddle. It's really a great process. So we spend the time training these coaches in how to do things the right way, how to find the right resources to help them do their job best. On October the 22nd, this is brand new. We haven't done this in 6 years. We're having an SMU game day. It's SMU versus Houston. It'll be a great game. It involves the student athlete, the parent that wants to come out, coaches. They can buy a game ticket. They get food. They get a T-shirt. It's a great time. And then we have a speaker that either before or after the game will just share their testimony.
So much going on. If somebody wants to volunteer, they want to join your FCA team, whether it's huddles or supporting coaches or anything, how do they go about getting in touch with you, the big guy, you know everything, and asking you the questions?
Just R Bowles, BOWLES, at FCA.org. Our website is www.dfwfca.org, and you can reach out to me or anyone else on our staff that way.
The leader of the DFW FCA, Rick Bowles. Thank you, sir. It's time now for the DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Classic Moment, delivered this week by Los Angeles Dodger superstar pitcher, Dallas native Clayton Kershaw.
You know, if you tell them that you're a follower of Christ or you're a Christian, things like that, it can resonate with people a little bit more just because of the platform you do have. So, you know, for me, it's, you know, talking about it's one thing, but living it is the most important. My faith on the field is reflected, you know, just in competitive nature, I think, more than anything. You know, off the field is, you know, you just, you can kind of relax and be, you know, just the same old guy, but I think you kind of have to flip a switch when you're on the field. You don't have to have that all the time, but when you get out there, you know, I think working at it with all your heart is something that, you know, as we're working for God, not for the men, and that's one of my favorite Bible verses. I think that that resonates a lot with me when I'm on the field. You know, you got to work at it. God gave you the ability to do it, and the only thing that's in your control is the work part of it. So that's what I try and control. What God's teaching me about my life is, there's a lot of things. You know, I think first and foremost that He's in control of it, which is sometimes hard for me to grasp at times. But there's really nothing. I can only try to live by His will, and sometimes I try and stray from that, and sometimes I try and control things myself, and instead of putting my trust in Him. And I think He's really teaching me to kind of let go of the reins a little bit, just give Him complete access to my life, and definitely something that I struggle with at times, but I'm learning to get to trust Him a little bit more. I'm Clayton Kershaw, pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers and a follower of Jesus Christ.
Dodger pitcher Clayton Kershaw with this week's classic moment. Thank you, Clayton. Hey, join us for the DFW FCA 50th Anniversary Celebration Dinner. Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, Dan Reeves, and Bob Brunig will all be there to share cowboy stories. Go to dfwfca.org for all the information on early bird tickets. Get your early bird tickets now. Coming up next, we will tell you who the special guest will be joining us here on the show next week. A couple of more big names from Major League Baseball. This is DFW FCA's Faith in Sports, brought to you by the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic.
Did you know that after a trip to an FCA sports camp in Estes Park, Colorado in 1962, Dallas Cowboys coach Tom Landry felt inspired to use his position as a coach to influence young student athletes? So in 1966, 50 years ago, Coach Landry helped launch the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Dallas. Hi, I'm Rick Bowles, North Texas Director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I'd like to ask you to tell us your FCA story. What impact did FCA have or is currently having on your life? Visit dfwfca.org for more information.
How about a day of fun on the golf course with Texas Rangers legends Jim Sundberg, Pudge Rodriguez, Tom Grieve, and Mark McLemore? You're invited to join us for the annual Jim Sundberg Golf Classic at the Trophy Club Country Club October 3rd. Sonny will lead the luncheon program, interviewing the panel of Ranger greats while you enjoy a great lunch, and then it's out to the golf course. There will be great raffle prizes and live auction items, so come help us touch lives for Christ and have a great time too. Go to dfwfca.org for details on how you can join us for the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic.
I'm Chris Schneider. Thank you for joining us for DFW FCA's Faith in Sports radio show, brought to you by the Jim Sundberg Golf Classic. And always remember, we would love to connect with you. You can find us on Facebook at DFW FCA. You can find us on Twitter at FCA DFW, and our website is dfwfca.org. Our thanks to our special guest today, soccer legend Kyle Rote Jr., Olympic gold medalist Josh Davis, and LA Dodger pitcher Clayton Kershaw. I'm Chris Schneider, the sports and spirit speaker. You can find me at radioactivespeaking.com. Godly messages with stories from the greatest coaches and athletes of all time. Find me, the sports and spirit speaker, at radioactivespeaking.com. We will have two more huge names from the Major League Baseball world with us on the show next week. Texas Ranger Hall of Fame catcher Jim Sundberg and current New York Yankee slugger Mark Teixeira. Guests scheduled to join us in future weeks include Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, Dan Reeves, Mike Singletary, Andy Pettit, and many others. FCA's Faith in Sports is an outreach of DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Hosted and produced by me, Chris Schneider. Executive producer is Rick Bowles. For information on DFW FCA, contact Rick at rbowles, that's RBOWLES, at FCA.org. And remember this week to do all that you do unto the Lord Jesus Christ. God bless you. From the DFW Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Faith in Sports.